There are people that are scammers, like just straight up scammers, but they talk really well and they speak the Bitcoin book, but then you find out they're actually really scammers. Those are the most dangerous ones.
Yeah.
Are the ones that talk really, really well, speak a good Bitcoin book, and then they're behind the scenes like they're scammers.
How do you know? How could you talk?
Well, it's because it's this simple. It's like, watch what they do, not what they say.
Sure.
If you watch what a influencer does and where they spend their most time and money on, that's who they are.
Amazing, dude. Glad to have you back.
Thanks, dude. It's been a while.
Is it what, it's been over 2 years.
It's been over 2 years. It was right around when I first met you, I think.
Well, that's how we first met.
Yeah.
Literally how I was trying to get myself into the Bitcoin space, and I just started messaging everybody, and then you got back to me.
Yeah, I tend to do that to people.
And
get
now
back to them.
We have this beautiful friendship, and I love it.
Hey, man, I saw you at the lab this week. It's good that you're leveling up your Bitcoin skills and privacy skills. What brought that on?
Paranoia.
Oh, okay, that's good.
That learning more, the more you learn, the more paranoid you become.
Right. Anything else, or the price, you think?
I mean, the price is good.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are, I think, newer get really happy and euphoric during this stage.
Yeah.
And I think because I've been around for a cycle, I'm like more nervous and paranoid and just like always on my toes and just thinking constantly and just like really focused. I think that's another reason why I'm not making as many videos, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like
you're taking care of your own kind of.
Yeah. Because nobody pays me to make this. I come out of my own pocket to do this. Like I don't have a company nobody's paying me money to do this. Like I don't get money from I don't get donation money. I don't get anything for this stuff.
Oh man.
The only thing I get is good energy, which allows more people to go on my pedicab. Is really kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, the price of this asset that I bought is doing really well. Yeah. Now I'm just thinking about okay, when do I make these life improvements that I need to make it so that I don't have to worry about have to feel this kind of stress and paranoia ever again. Yeah. So I think that's kind of a big reason why I'm not making as many videos. And I'm I always say, it's because of the political climate. It's because I see everything through the bullshit that it is in XYZ. And I'm like, no, actually, you know what? I don't think that that's true. I think it's just my hierarchy of needs and just looking out for making sure I have a stable foundation.
Yeah, you're putting your family
I'm
first.
Just putting myself in my own family.
Yeah. Dude, that's totally
first, and just putting this second, and I'm just trying to balance it, and I'm just that's just where my priorities are right now. But
yeah, I think people forget about that. I think family is the first community that we all kind of learn to grow and love and cherish, and then as you kind of go through life, you find your friends and your network and all that kind of stuff. But we tend to forget that a lot of what we should be doing is taking care of our own house and getting our own house in order and taking care of the people that we love dearly in our lives. So yeah. I think that's a message that doesn't get spread across these days, especially in a post-Bitcoin ETF world.
Yeah. What do you think about this ETF stuff?
I think I've said it multiple times on Stacker News Live, even to a point of last year and the year before. I think it was going to always be, I don't want to say the death of Bitcoin, but it was always going to lead to the centralization of Bitcoin, which was totally the complete opposite of where we were supposed to be headed. We were supposed to be headed in a decentralized world that we were all promised as early Bitcoiners.
Yes, but also everything always makes this stronger, theoretically. And if something like this cannot handle the adoption of major players without losing its purpose, then maybe it's not what it was meant to be.
No, 100%.
Right? So it's one of those
100%.
things where it's good, I'm glad this is happening, and you're going to see how this grows stronger. And I mean, there's some concerns, only a small amount of companies now have 70% of the hash rate with mining. Right. So, I mean, is that possible that you could launch an attack, a coordinated attack on the network with that?
I mean, I don't know too much about the mining arena, but just to get back to the ETF real quick, I think the centralization of Bitcoin is not a good thing, whether it's in mining or any ecosystem, developer ecosystem, the TradFi bros, whatever it is, it's not good for Bitcoin. You need to decentralize things. So I do think it's going to lead to a more prosperous quote unquote nation. Like you're already kind of seeing it with this eCash stuff. You know, it's very likely we'll see a form of a USD on an eCash federation for some of these local community banks at some point. Which, I mean, it's not quite Bitcoin and it's not quite a CBDC, but it sits somewhere in the middle.
What is eCash?
Man, there's a growing.
Hasn't that been around forever?
There's a growing ecosystem built around eCash right now. At this point, you can kind of say it's becoming a thing, whether you're on board with it or not. There's a lot of money inside of the ecosystem that is earmarked for it, and a lot of VCs are throwing money into making sure that it happens. I think it kind of just goes back to, you know, Biden becoming president and him really wanting to put a really kind of a stranglehold or a chokehold around Bitcoin. But he did earmark, I think it was like $9 billion to some of these community banks and federal credit unions when he came into office. I think it was like 22. I'd have to go do the research again, but I think, long story short, I think eCash gets us to a place where we could have a reserve, a USD token of a sort, or maybe it's Tether. Who knows where it's headed? But
not
I think
a CBDC, but a CBDC.
Yeah,
right?
it won't be like a CBDC, but it won't be Bitcoin either. It'll be somewhere in the middle, and you know, it'll be a. I think it's kind of where this kind of post Bitcoin ETF world took us. It's a half measure.
But like, what's it backed by?
I don't know, man. It's still early.
Is it like backed by the US dollar? Is it backed by gold?
Still early.
If so, how is that any different from the dollar?
I mean, you know a lot of,
or do you use something like eCash to help pay the debt off?
I mean, you know a lot of eCash developers in this town. I would ask them. I'm somebody who's just like a, you know, I kind of see it from like a 50-yard line view. I don't really, I'm not in the weeds every day, but I don't think it's a bad thing. It helps developers. It helps the ecosystem. It helps America. It helps local communities. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just not ideal. You know, it's not Bitcoin, you know? So, but
it's still there, right? And it helps facilitate a Bitcoin standard. And if people learn the right privacy tools, you just, you know, you can transact independently of the system.
It's just the way it played out. I mean, this is where I think there's people that don't want to believe in this, or they want to fight it, or they want to, it's like, dude, you got to accept things and you got to just realize this is just where we are. Or you can argue and say this is not where we are, or you can just believe in what you're doing and carve out a different path. But this is the reality of the situation, and people just need to understand that it's not going away.
Yeah, I think that everything seems like it's a spectacle right now.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's election year, right?
It's dude, it's insane. Like, the fact that an anti-CBDC bill passed the House is really good.
Yeah.
And it might pass the Senate. And Biden vetoed this crypto bill, but 10 Democrats voted for it. And maybe you whip up votes to override the veto. And either way, this just kind of ensures that Trump gets back into office. I don't understand how it doesn't, because now you have an entire industry that's going to put a lot of money and effort into getting rid of Biden, where that type of power did not exist in the crypto industry 4 years ago. And then you set the tone to like adopt these things into practice in the next term. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, Whitney Webb brought this up, like, okay, Trump banned CBDCs and everyone thinks it's a great victory, but then we get eCash or we get some USD-backed stablecoin that just gets controlled by JP Morgan or Jamie Dimon or something. You know, it's too early
to tell. It's still too early.
It's early, but I mean, I guess that's like, I'm always worried, man. You know, I'm always thinking like, you know, whenever we're winning, I'm like, I don't know if this is good. And then whenever people think everything is really bad, I'm always kind of like, I'm always against the grain. I'm like, no, dude, stop. We're winning. You know, it's like, I always feel like I'm just going against what everybody's doing, you know?
I would say, I mean, there's a lot there. I don't want to go too much into like the that's going to turn out this way. I kind of got away from that thinking. I think that doesn't help, right? Like, especially if you have an audience like you do, like it's not good to spread out things that we're not necessarily sure if they're going to happen or not. I'm sure if we would listen back to our old podcast, I bet you the stuff that we got right was more around the community stuff. And so that's what I'll bring up right now is like, I actually think it's even more important now to get more Bitcoin hubs like PlebLab into every major city around the world. And I actually think this next cycle that we see, we're going to see more Bitcoin hubs pop up. Just here, like in the past 4 years since we've been doing PlebLab, like we've already helped 5 Bitcoin hubs launch themselves, right? And so this is where I kind of see the next, you know how last time was meetups, like all these meetups were popping up,
Yeah.
and these clubs. This cycle is going to be nothing but Bitcoin hubs. And I think as long as we have a Bitcoin hub in every major city around the world, I think we will be fine. Because I think for something like this kind of technology, you can have the CBDCs and the eCash stuff and the Bitcoin stuff and the shitcoins and all this other stuff. But if you have a based hub with based Bitcoiners, you'll be fine.
I also think that there's
people
gotta be,
that want that kind of freedom
Yeah.
will come and find it. Will come and seek it out.
I think 2 things. I think it's actually might be more important, more than the cities, is to have these things in rural parts of the country. Because the rural parts of America are going to be the places where people gravitate towards those values more, because people have moved to more rural parts of America to escape the tyranny of living in big cities.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think that because of the political landscape and the hype surrounding digital assets, you need, not only do you need Bitcoiners in Congress and the state legislature, but when people are making just legislative decisions that affect your ability to custody and manage your finances, and also like drive innovation and drive technology that protects privacy and utilizes AI and all these new tools in a way that's pro-human.
Right.
You need Bitcoiners. They need to be around Bitcoiners. So I think there's got to be a prevalence of like real, like not myself, like, but people like you or Kyle or the people who make things at PlebLab going to political GOP meetups, even Democrat meetups, to talk about how to utilize this asset, because they're going to, no matter what political party you're at, and this is, we're seeing this already in the infancy, Democrats are now embracing Bitcoin too. The political party that understands this asset the most is going to be the political party that dominates the cycle. And so I do think that there's an importance of Bitcoiners showing up to political meetups, not to beg them for anything, but to just tell them like, hey man, we want to help you because we have value to offer you, and this is going to be the future, and we want to make sure that you're doing this in a way that's correct, and we have a ton of influence, and there's a lot of money behind us, and you know we have a reach of hundreds of thousands of people on the internet, and we want to use our reach to help you, but you need to show that you're open to learning, and I'm happy to teach you.
Yeah, it's a lot there. Yeah, it's a lot there. I don't pay too close attention to the political stuff, to be honest. Try to stay away from that.
Yeah, you told me that I'm the guy who you get all your info from.
Mostly you and like Marty and stuff. Those are the people I usually listen to, whether that's good or bad. But I honestly think that it's probably. I'm just so bullish, man. I'm just so bullish on the plebs this cycle, more so than any other point. Even back when we started, like, you know, it's. You're going to find those people like the cars and out there that are going to want to do something similar in their town. And those are the people that you need to reach. For me personally, like I want to reach that person and I want him to contact me and I want to help him do what I do, but in his town. Because I think those are the people that actually make the biggest difference. It's the people that are willing to sacrifice everything for everybody else.
You gotta find,
and those people are out there. Like G, have you met G?
Yeah.
So G's doing the exact same thing in San Antonio. You know Jason? So Jason's doing the exact same thing in Round Rock. These people exist and they're out there because they feel like it's a calling from somewhere. And that's exactly how I feel. Like this is why I'm so bullish, not only in Austin and Texas, because there's going to be more and more people like that, Alex, that are going to stand up. And then you need to find like the other people, like the Pierre Richards and the Parker Lewises, to go and talk to these other people. Like there's a hierarchy to it.
Well, I think that it's
not a discussed hierarchy, but there's certain things that certain individuals are really good at. Like I'm really good at getting the community together, getting different types of creatives, developers, builders together, and getting them to move into a progress of like towards hyper Bitcoinization, right? Like I'm really good at that. Parker's like really good talking to like the Fed or talking to like the House Congress, whatever. Pierre, same thing. You need these individual leaders to step up and do their job really, really well.
But I think that they're doing that though.
Yeah, we are doing it.
I think
that's why I'm so bullish on like Texas.
And I'm very bullish on people like Dennis Porter too.
Yeah, Dennis. He's another guy that like I got to meet him in Bedford. Like he's like that guy.
Cool. I met him. He's a really cool guy. Yeah.
You need individual people who are great at what they do, and just let them do that and support them and give them whatever they need to do that.
You're right. Like I don't need to be that person.
You don't need to be
that. I don't need to.
You just need to be Alex, who talks to everybody else. You talk to the normal, everyday man,
regular people. Yes.
Yeah. That's who you talk to.
I'm a guy who talks to people on a tricycle. You know, and maybe I have some ideas and I'll talk to.
But your opinion matters.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like you're speaking for all these people here.
Yeah, I suppose I am.
Yes.
This is true.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, when it comes to all the eCash stuff and the Bitcoin ETF, that's not my wheelhouse, right? People will ask my opinion, and I'll tell you what I think about it. But that's not. But if you were to ask me about community stuff or like entrepreneurship or like Austin or like Bitcoin hubs or like hacker stuff, like that's my niche. That's the thing that I can answer to. Even the media stuff, right? But like, I think people just need to realize, man, you have a lane, just stay in it. Like you don't need to. You don't need to be an expert in like what's going on in like the other part of the world. You just need to be an expert in what you're really good at.
I feel like I gotta figure. I'm still in the process of figuring it out.
What you're good at?
Yeah.
Well, what do you love doing the most?
I like the podcast.
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
But I also feel as though my ability to do this is all predetermined on like whether or not I'm doing well giving pedicab rides, and also whether or not I'm going out and putting myself in like uncomfortable positions at the city council or a protest or whatever. I have this feeling where like if I don't do that, I don't feel like real. Like I feel like I'm an imposter, right?
Yeah. Be yourself, man.
Don't
be like, oh well, if I do this, people aren't gonna like me. No, that's a good thing. You want people. It's like having a band, man. Okay, here, let me just say this point. It's like having a band, right? Like some people like Nirvana, some people like Sonic Youth, some people like Soundgarden, right? But like they all came from like Sub Pop in like Seattle in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Like these are bands like everybody loved, right? Maybe some like this one more, but no one said, "Oh, I don't like Nirvana anymore because Kurt Cobain came out in a dress," right? Like, like that's what I'm saying. People are gonna love what you create and love what you make, regardless, or they just won't, and that's okay, man. They can find another.
No, I don't give a shit about.
They can find another pedicab podcast.
I don't care. What I'm saying is that I get anxiety about not making stuff. Right? It's not like when I make something, I'm like, oh my God, I really wonder what these guys are going to think of me. I really hope that they like me. Like, no, dude, that's fucking weak and gay. I'm not
what
like
are you
that at all.
complaining about?
What I get anxious about is if I go through like a 2-week period of not making something.
Yeah, dude, you should be.
That's what I'm saying.
Soul. Yeah. It's your soul yearning.
That's what I'm saying.
It's your soul yearning to create
something. Yes. Yeah. And so what I was trying to say is that I think that my ability to do these podcasts is predicated on being able to put myself into uncomfortable situations and making something aside from the podcasting. Because if you don't like actually get out in the field,
dude,
well, here's what I'm trying to say. Right? If you don't get out in the field, okay, and you don't see what's going on around you firsthand, how can you be a credible person to talk about what's going on around you to anybody else with an audience? That's what I'm trying to say is that I feel like I need to be out in the field doing this stuff.
Doing it.
I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm doing that. That's what I'm saying. I'm doing it.
Like I told you earlier, like I listened to what you're saying. I think it's hilarious because I honestly wouldn't. Okay, I'll tell you this. Okay, this is the best way to explain what you do, at least from my point of view.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't offend you.
No, it's fine.
I actually would not watch like CNN or NBC or ABC. I would not watch any of this stuff. There was a time when I was younger, I used to watch the Jon Stewart show or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't watch that anymore.
Okay.
But I consider you more like a Jon Stewart, where like the only way I would watch any of this political stuff if it was funny. If it's not funny, I'm not gonna watch it, because that's the only way that you can get me to learn about what's going on in the world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what you do for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. But I do that because I'm willing to put myself in a position where I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm able to put myself in a position where I'm uncomfortable because I'm working out to the point of discomfort, and I'm doing jiu-jitsu and I'm doing these other activities, which put me in a position where I'm uncomfortable. And so you just create a baseline where you're just used to feeling uncomfortable, so that when you're in an uncomfortable situation, they're like, oh my God, Alex, how are you so calm? How are you this? How are you that?
You are pretty calm.
Well, yeah, because I feel this anxiety all the fucking time, so it's just normal.
You're just operating in your normal mode.
Yeah.
Dude, that's kind of like entrepreneurship, really, if you think about it. It's like it's always like feeling that you're not doing enough, or it's feeling that you're not moving forward fast enough. Like it's always this constant. But that's good, man. That's
I
when
think
you
it's
know
good.
you
Yeah,
know
I
you're
think it's
alive.
great. I think it's good. I'm just making a self-actualized observation about
I think
where
we're coming
I'm
to
at.
the
I'm not like complaining or upset or angry or
that's
like
something,
saying
dude.
woe
That's
is me. I think it's
that's a blessing to have. Like,
I think it's good. Yeah.
Think about it. Like, you could wake up every day and like not have anything that you're yearning to do. You could just wake up and be like, oh man, but you love what you do.
Me and Alex Rosen went and had dinner after he showed up at PlebLab.
Who's that?
The guy that you met that was sleeping on the couch.
I don't know who that guy is.
The big dude that was sleeping.
I know, but who is he?
He catches pedophiles for a living. He goes around the country and catches fucking pedophiles
really?
for a living. And he went to like 20 different states or something like that. He pretends to be like a 12-year-old and he has a team around him and he goes and confronts them. Yeah,
that guy that was there yesterday?
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I was like, dude, if there's a guy who deserves to take a nap and fall down and fall asleep on your couch.
I had no idea
that
who he
guy,
was.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah.
So
that
for
guy,
the people listening at home, every Tuesday at PlebLab, we have it's like an open house.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it just came anyway.
It's like an open hackerspace day.
Okay, but it was on Monday. It came.
Was it Monday?
Yes,
it was Tuesday. Well, yeah. Anyway, for Tuesdays is when we have the open hackerspace day. So people will come in there, like Alex or whoever, and you can like work with the other Bitcoin builders for the day.
Okay.
But yeah, that's usually how it's. But Jim brought you as a guest, right?
It was on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were Jim's guest.
Yeah, and then Alex came too, and I was like, "Can I bring Alex, my friend Alex Rosen?"
Yeah, I think
Nick and Jim were like, they all knew who he was, and they were talking about it, like.
Yeah.
And Topher, they were talking about.
Dude,
Bitcoin
we get so many people that run through there where I don't even know. Like, we had some people for Consensus, and they were
fuck those guys.
Well, no.
Are they actually?
No, they were Bitcoiners.
Oh, they're okay.
And they were like these big time Bitcoiners, and I was like, I have no idea who they are. But I guess if they want to roll through, just because I just don't. Whatever your title is the least important thing to me.
The Consensus guys get on my fucking nerves.
No, hang on. Let me get this point across.
Yes.
Like whatever your title is, the least important thing to me. The only thing I really care about is how many people have you actually helped. How much impact are you actually having in the world? I care more about that than I do about your title, how much you get paid, where you went to college. No, I want to know, like, what are you doing for the world that's making it better? What are you doing for your community that's actually making it better? That's your resume to me.
1,000%. 1,000%. What I was saying about the Consensus guys, the reason I don't like a lot of them is because it's not because of any of that. Yeah. It's just because I feel like there's no humility.
Oh, with the Web3ers?
Yeah. It just feels like a lot of the people that I was giving rise to and talking with, it just felt like with their vibe, there was just no humility. There was no humility.
I try not to judge anymore, Alex.
Oh, I'm judging. Well, I judge because I see it.
Yeah. I try not to anymore. I used to do that too, but I stay away. I tell you why I stay away from it. I end up feeling bad, like at night, or before I go to bed. I'm like, did I say that out loud? I was like, yeah, I guess I did. That wasn't a nice thing to say. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't call it out. But I'm just saying, like, there's maybe like, dude, maybe they're just on a journey, right? Like, you don't know where they are in their journey. Maybe they just got into like crypto and they think it's Bitcoin and they're gonna find, like me, I got into crypto.
We remember last time we talked about, I was talking to you.
Yeah, you were on crypto.
I was like, wait, aren't they all kind of like, don't they all just serve a different purpose?
Imagine if I would have just like cut you down there, like, and then you'd be like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Well, you kind of did cut. Well, you did kind of like.
No, I didn't.
Well, you put me in my place when I said that.
No, I did what I said.
You were very polite about it, but you were like, no, dude, these are all bullshit. It's like jumping on a hot stove. No, that isn't. Like, you literally
roll the tape.
Like, yeah,
no,
like,
I'm just kidding.
You said, but I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
and
like,
I'm also glad that like there were people out on chain and
I guess you got a
community who I didn't make the best first impression with, that probably didn't like me.
But there are people that are scammers, like just straight up scammers, but they talk really well and they speak the Bitcoin book, but then you find out they're actually really scammers. Those are the most dangerous ones. Yeah. Are the ones that talk really, really well, speak a good Bitcoin book, and then they're behind the scenes like they're scammers.
How do you know? How can you talk?
Well, it's because it's this simple. It's like, watch what they do, not what they say.
Sure.
If you watch what a influencer does and where they spend their most time and money on, that's who they are. Like saying, like, if you're ever unsure about like a Bitcoiner or a Web3 or anybody, watch what they say and then watch what they actually do when they spend their time and money on.
But how could you even tell? How could you even tell what they're doing? How could you even tell with that?
You'll see announcements that they'll make. We're
partnering with this person.
Yeah, you'll see these different things, and then that's when you'll really know right away, like, where they actually stand. Are they really for Bitcoin? Are they just saying the right things to believe that they are?
There are also some shitcoiners or some people that are like crypto people that I do feel operate in good faith, because they just will talk about like how price could react at certain levels and make analytical statements about like activity with different coins or developer activity and these things, and just make it objectively. by stating just like blanket facts. Like there's like Will Clemente or whatever, right? Like on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
You don't know who he is?
No.
He was like this 19-year-old kid in the bull market, and like you know Dylan LeClaire, right?
No.
You know Dylan LeClaire?
Oh, Dylan from
okay.
Bitcoin Magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and like Dylan LeClaire were like buddies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And this guy Will Clemente works like reflexivity research, and just does like writes reports and studies on-chain activities and just studies like trends and meme coins and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he also is like a very, very knowledgeable when it comes to Bitcoin. And so when he says something about like how the behavior of a stock might look or something like that, like I don't think he's operating in bad faith, even though he's not talking about only Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't know.
If that makes sense.
I don't know. I just know what I believe and what I've seen in the space, and those are the things I look for. I look for those things. And if they don't, like, if in my head, like if I see something and it doesn't make sense and I have like a weird feeling about it because what they're saying is different than what they're doing, I stay away.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I will not talk to them or not associate with them. I just
arm's length.
Arm's length, give it time, let it play out.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing that's helped me, like keep a close, good group of friends that are moving towards the same direction you are.
Yes, and which is why which is what I was saying is
that's all I'm trying to get across.
And this is segueing to the next point, which is why I'm actually kind of glad that there were certain people in this community that didn't really like me that much in the beginning.
Yeah,
because
they shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything to like.
We didn't know what you are, or what you were doing, but we were willing to have a conversation with you. Same thing with me. When I first came in, they were like, "Oh, this guy's this and this." Well, they didn't know who I was or what my agenda was. Now they know. Now they're like, okay, yeah, Car's actually.
Yes, that's what I think too. I think like I remember Parker.
That's normal,
like well, actually, I wouldn't even bring anything up. But like, I feel like I get along better with like people like Parker Lewis now than I did 2 years ago. Like I feel like I can like there's more like of a respect and the ability to like have a back and forth like dialogue or something. Or like Will Cole, I had him on last year, right? I don't think Will Cole would have done my podcast in 2022, right? So I think that that's what I'm trying to say. I think that like you know, the more you are and the more you're
proof of work, man.
Yes, the more you're consistent, the more you show who you are. The more these relationships come to you, and the good relationships should not happen overnight. And the people whose time and whose opinions and whose input you value the most should be the last people to start wanting to be friends with you.
Yeah, 100%.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
There's like right now for me personally, there's different people in the Bitcoin ecosystem where I go and seek out their information specifically for their expertise.
Yeah.
Like if I want to know what's going on in these different segments, I will just go ask that person personally. And I think people will do that to you once you've carved out your niche and what you're really great at.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. And I think you're kind of the guy that I look to as far as like, hey, what's going on and with the regular Austin community? And like, what are you seeing locally, politically, and nationally? Yeah, and that kind of thing.
But I also now have this responsibility of I don't have the luxury of being checked out like a lot of the people.
Yeah, you can't be.
Yeah, you know, the people at PlebLab had this luxury of like not even caring about what's happening in Clown World because they're already totally self-sovereign.
Well, dude, I mean,
and I have to be the guy that like tells people what's going on in Clown World.
To defend them. Like, dude, these guys and girls are working on like really hard stuff. Like. Hard stuff. Like it's not easy stuff. Cryptography turns out.
Oh no shit.
It's not.
I was not insulting them. I'm not talking shit.
I know. I'm just like, even me. Sometimes I'm like, I'll go to one of them and be like, hey, did you see this meme? You know, just like, and they just look at me like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, they're deep in it. Maybe leave them alone. You know, But I think it's really hard, dude. Building on Bitcoin is like insanely hard. Because everybody wants you to shitcoin. There's so much more money to shitcoin, and you know it's really hard to maintain your principles and values over time building on Bitcoin. Just because you're doing it out of mission, right? Yeah, that's tough.
It is tough.
That's why you got to support them.
So what kind of stuff are you building at PlebLab?
Dude, right now we're so excited. We're working on a super secret media project.
Okay.
We can't talk about it yet. I'll tell you about it afterwards. And then potentially looking at building out the first PlebLab outside of, I won't say where it's at, outside of the United States. So that's another thing. And then we're doing another startup day coming up here in September. And we'll be announcing that. And then finally, we're going to be doing another TabConf hackathon with our friends at Zebedee in October.
All right.
And then that'll be the year for us.
How are you guys able to like stay afloat though financially? That's what I've always wondered that. Like, cause I'm like, I see all the cool stuff that you guys are doing, but
we do this. We We go out there, we hunt, we kill, and then we eat it. It's hand to mouth.
All right.
It's hand to mouth. It's no, to be honest, it's very hard because, you know, the pleb, I guess the PLEB, that name triggers a lot of people, not only in our ecosystem but just people in general, and you know, they think all sorts of things. But I think if we were to rename it something else, it'd be a lot easier. Personally, Alex.
You think? No, I like PlebLab.
But
I think PlebLab
me too.
means
I would never change the name.
And
but
if you're a big company, you should want to support the people.
I would never change the name.
Yeah.
But I do know one thing. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I think if there wasn't a PlebLab in this town, it would be very bad for Austin, because of all the companies that have gone through PlebLab have been very successful with where they're at right now.
Zap right.
And I don't want to single out one single company. I'm just saying, like, there's even more companies coming in right now as well too, like Cascader and Yopaki, who are going to do amazing big things.
So I wanted to talk about that.
Hang on.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you don't have a PlebLab, where do those companies go? Like, that's what I'm trying to say is, like, those companies took, like, Cascader's taken a year to develop. Yopaki's taken 2.5 years. Like, where do those companies go? But they're going to have a humongous impact on the ecosystem and in the world. So you need a PlebLab to exist for those type of companies, because I believe it's dude, the place to run the place right now is less than an engineer's salary. Like, are you kidding me? We can't find the money to support that? I don't believe that. So right now we're working on some things that we think that we're going to be able to, you know, get done. And I have a direction that we're headed with PlebLab. I'm not stopping until we get a PlebLab or a Bitcoin hub in every major city across the world.
I think
and that's
something
where
in the
I'm
hill
not stopping.
country is a good idea.
Yeah, we're going to do
like
it.
in Johnson City or Blanco, that area, I think would do very.
There's no one focused on that, Alex. And this goes back to what we were saying earlier. That's my niche. Like, I just want to make that happen. And so either we're going to make it happen at PlebLab, or I'm going to force somebody outside to do it, because they're going to see all these PlebLabs pop up, and then they're going to have to launch.
I think that there's got to be a push to get restaurants and small businesses and even municipalities in smaller towns to embrace Bitcoin on a full-scale level. Because if they don't, then those woke mega corporations are going to just come in and overtake what was built in the town for hundreds of years.
I don't know, man. I'm really bullish, man. I'm like insanely bullish on the plebs this cycle, because honestly, like, dude, it's heating up right now.
Well,
like, you can feel it.
Okay, no, yes, but
but that's what I'm trying. Dude, I haven't felt like this since 21.
Really,
dude, it was massive what happened to Austin in 21. So much stuff came out of Austin in 21. So this heating up right now, it's about to get insane here later this year, and I'm just saying, buckle up, because dude, when some of these announcements start happening, people are going to be like, oh crap, hyper Bitcoinization.
What kind of, do you have any insider information?
What I'm trying to say is, like, CAR personally is not stopping until hyper Bitcoinization.
Yeah.
And PlebLab in general is not stopping until PlebLab Bitcoin hub in every major city.
Right.
And that's where we're headed.
And that's good.
Yes, because you need somebody doing that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
What I'm saying though is that the small towns, I think, are the unsung market that nobody, like the untapped market that people aren't going to.
If you're out there in Taylor, Texas, you come find me.
Yeah. Taylor, Blanco, Johnson City.
You come
there
find me.
are a lot of really good small businesses,
Yeah.
really good restaurants, the coffee shop I go to, all of these places. I don't want these places to get replaced by a woke mega corporation.
They're not, dude.
But you know what ensures that they stay in business?
Bitcoin.
Adopting Bitcoin. And that's why I think there's got to be a concentrated push to foster Bitcoin education in these smaller towns almost as much, if not more, than in the big major cities. First
it started with meetups.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be hubs, and then the next cycle we'll get there. It's going to take time, dude. It's not going to happen overnight. Like, it's going to take time. We're getting there.
I got to just start bringing some of my friends. Like, I got to start get a little tighter with some of these business owners and just say, hey, every first Thursday of the month, come with me to Unchained Capital and meet some of these
they're
people.
Just not ready. A lot of these local businesses are just not ready for it, right? We just need to have the tools and the on-ramps and everything ready for when they are. And that's kind of where we need to be.
It's also overwhelming. Just getting into this is really, like, I get overwhelmed. We were talking about this earlier. There's always just like
I don't think so, dude. I was just on a Christian retreat 2 weeks ago, and we got into the discussion, outside of God and stuff, but we got into the discussion around, like, what we do for a living and stuff like that. And as soon as I started telling them about, like, first I usually say, oh, we do a developer thing, developer space. And I kind of go that. And then they start digging more. But you'd be surprised, dude. Some of these people just had no idea how Bitcoin worked or anything like that. But once you kind of start explaining it to them, they're like, oh, well, interesting. Okay. And they slowly start. It kind of goes back to what we were just saying. Like, they're going to listen to a brother in their Christian family before they'll actually listen to somebody on TV. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
That's why it's just going to take time, but people will slowly start adopting these things. But it also, not only is it going to take time, but you're going to need to have these tools, hubs, resources, events, meetups, classes, schools. You're going to need to have all this ready for them when they do. It's the same thing like anything. And I said this last time I was on the pod. It's like the Gutenberg press, man. You didn't just have the Gutenberg press and then everybody was reading overnight. No, it's like slowly you got the novelists, you had the writers, the newspapers, and then you had a library maybe, and then you had people that were reading constantly, and then it transformed the world. It's that type of technology. You need to have these hubs in every major city because in order to make something like this scale to the world, you have to go and learn about it, and you have to go and create the people that are going to do it. And that's why these hubs are so important. And I've seen that clearly since 2021, man. And that has been something that has been my North Star. And that is something to me, when I see where it's headed, it's completely obvious to me. It's like a premonition from God.
Well, so that's the thing too, right? And I've started like reading The Sovereign Individual, and I'm like halfway through Parker Lewis's book right now. Yeah. Gradually then suddenly. One of the things I'm gathering is that new technology and digital money is gonna, no matter how hard you push, it's eventually gonna foster freedom and remove dependence from the administrative state and force like governments and municipalities to create societies that foster growth and that put community over the state. You know what I mean?
I think it's much easier than that. I think we just need better leaders.
Well, yes, but I think that also these new technologies are going to make it so that a lot of the things that everyone's bitching at and complaining about too, when it comes to politics, are going to become obsolete, or they're gonna just like spend themselves and work themselves into complete and total irrelevancy. And if you like just stay on the right path and like, embrace the new technology and focus on building the community, the system that you're super angry with, you're going to just need it less and less and less and less. And then eventually it's just not going to make you angry, and it's just going to be separate from your life.
I would even go beyond that. I think all that is important. I think it's also just recognizing there's a problem. There's no use. There's no point now. We're well past the point of complaining now. You just need to go out there and start building and start creating what you want to see, but also be an example to others. Talk about your principles, talk about your values, talk about those things that you find important in your daily life, in your community, and talk about those things publicly, because we don't have enough of that right now. We have a lot of very dark things out there on the web and on social media, and we need more light. And I think personally, we need more people talking about what is good in the world and how we're going to make it even better. And we need more light, and we need enough of this kind of darkness talk. And that's what I do, man. It's really important to, like what you were saying earlier about you wanting to be anxious, or you were anxious and you're not, like, it's good that you're talking about this. Like, you should want to project to people that you are building something for your community and you want to be a big part of that movement. But we need other people like Alex Strangers to pop up. We need more leaders. We need better leaders.
Well,
man.
That's the goal. The goal of what you're doing is not to get like rich and famous and all that stuff.
No,
the goal is to just get 10 more people like you to like want to do what you're doing.
Well, it's also just to save your town.
Yeah.
We're at a point now where we are at a point now where we need people like you to actually step up, because it's the right thing to do in history right now. There's far too many people who are not in a position to step up, have families, have other requirements, and they can't. So it's on you, that individual that's out there that's listening to this, to make a difference, to move the needle that direction. Trust me, you can do it. I'm living proof that you can do that.
1,000%.
You just have to get started, and you'll get a ragtag group, and they'll just be right behind you.
I ride a tricycle for a living, and I've done a lot. I've accomplished a lot for somebody that rides a tricycle for a living. So yes, I believe that. But here's what me and Rosen were talking about when he had dinner afterwards, and he said, "Listen, man, most people like are get excited about being finished with work, right, and get excited about going home from work and playing video games and having a beer and hanging out with their friends. Whereas me and you, we get excited about going to work." And I think that's what the difference is, right? Like most human beings do not want to be at work. You hate being at work. Whereas and get anxious about going to work and wish that they didn't have to go to work. Whereas people like us get anxious when we're not going to work.
See, those are the people that I hope that we're reaching right now. Is those are the people that you want to inspire to do something, right? Like outside of work. Maybe they have obligations to their family and to the rent every month and all that stuff, but you shouldn't let that hold you back to seeking a better life for yourself, even if it's not monetarily wise, but it's more of I just feel better about myself waking up every day and I enjoy life. Dude, that's one thing for me. I actually love waking up every day and not knowing what, the people that I want to come across. But dude, there's nothing like it. It's a complete blessing. And I used to slave away 9 to 5, 8 to 5.
What did you used to do?
I used to do IT stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like I hated it either. It was great, but it was just a very fiat lifestyle. I was living very fiat. And it wasn't until I started making a difference in my community where I actually felt like I'm actually waking up every day and I'm actually moving the needle, if that makes any sense. Well, and I'm moving it towards prosperity for the people around me.
I actually think that the culture is starting to change. And here's another reason why I'm bullish on humanity.
Dude, I'm so bullish on Austin.
I'm very bullish on humanity.
So bullish on Austin. So bullish on the plebs.
We might hit the Middle Ages. We might hit the Dark Ages before we hit the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
But things are moving at such a fast pace that it's not like the Dark Age. It's not going to be like 100-year period. It might be a few years of Dark Ages versus the Enlightenment.
Dude, we're doing this for our kids, man.
Yeah.
It's not for us.
Exactly. Yes. What I'm saying though is that 20 years ago, it was going out and drinking a ton and partying a ton and doing blow up at the right parties and sleeping with tons of women. That shit was considered cool 20 years ago. Remember?
I wasn't hanging out with those
people.
But
it was though, socially, from a sociological standpoint, it was considered.
I think we were all just psyoped into
thinking that stuff is cool.
Yeah, we were just a different time back then, man.
But dude, now the opposite is true. Now it's lame and fiat as fuck to do that stuff, right? Now it's cool to believe in God. Now the idea of not drinking and working out and doing cold plunges and creating a culture of wellness and learning about sound money and acquiring as much knowledge as possible.
That's not just here in Austin? Is that just in Austin? I feel like that's just in Austin. Or is that in other places too?
I haven't traveled enough, but that's still good. It wasn't that.
That's in Los Angeles. And
I don't know. I haven't been to LA, but Austin's a melting pot of people from all over the world. And Austin now is
even
becoming...
you saw Joe Rogan, even he said that he's Christian now, which is crazy to think.
Yeah. And look, I'm a Jew, but I've become more in tune with my faith as a Jew, and it's good. I think more people should.
It's interesting.
More people should believe in God and come to terms with that and learn more and get more in touch with their faith, because the more you believe, the more you trust God and the more you try to follow the principles, the less likely you are to have Jeffrey Epstein's friends give you public health advice. The absence of God is the presence of transhumanism and social credit scores. It literally is the most pro-human thing to do is to believe in God, because if you don't look, here's the thing: if you don't believe in if you don't believe in God, you lose your humanity, I think. And I think the reason, I was
just gonna say, I think everybody's on their own journey. Yeah. I don't want to say somebody should believe in something.
But I do think that the path towards believing in God is the path towards preserving your humanity, and the reason is that the belief in God will prevent you from merging with AI or a machine for the sake of personal gain.
I think
that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. I think just I think a lot of people are just on a different path in their journey and they find their way. There's this amazing book that I'm in the process of reading. It was about this lady. She was a devout Catholic. She married this guy, and this guy was a complete atheist. And one of the things when you get married in the church with somebody like that, you're you're told like you're not supposed to, right?
Oh.
But she said it was like, you know, if in the book she describes how like it's her basically her diary, but she describes how like, well, if I don't pray for this man and I don't take care of this man, who will? Because he doesn't have God in his life, so I have to be that for him. Turns out that guy she actually died before him, and he actually became a priest much later once he found all her diary entries.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So he went from like complete atheist her entire time that she was married to him to when she died, he became like a priest and all sorts of things.
Wow.
I'm in the process of reading that book, but I will say everybody's on their journey, so I would never count anybody out because of what their belief is.
I'm not doing that either. I hope I didn't come across like that.
No. I was just making sure. I was just making sure we say that for the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I do think people. You know, I've never been atheist. I've always grown up with Christianity in my life, Catholic, and you know, but there's a time where I went away from the church for a little bit, but I came back in my late 30s. But I will say though, like, you know, my brother, he doesn't, you know, he went away from the church and completely on a totally different plane now. And it's like, man, hopefully he comes back, because he was I think you're right. I think it does put you in kind of a tier of where man sits on that kind of like, it's just good. It's good to know there's something that you're not completely in control of.
It keeps your emotions level. It does something to you. It keeps your emotions level, and it gives you more clarity to make the right, to do the right things,
100%.
or to follow your path. I think that, like, I mean, you were talking about this earlier. You've noticed me getting more mature the past year.
100%,
like,
dude. You're completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. And I loved your Ninja Turtle stuff.
Oh, thank you. Like, I
hope you can still do that kind of stuff.
I will. No, I mean, I dressed up as a tranny at Planet Fitness a couple days ago, and I'm waiting for the video. But here's the thing too. A lot of these conservatives like will shit all over Pride Month and this and that, and get really angry and outraged. And I'm just like, no, dude. Pride Month is my favorite month of the year because I have an unlimited amount of videos. I get to have a field day for an entire month. And you want to know how you stop this crap from like proliferating? Is when you have more fun than they do.
Will you do me a favor, or at least think about it, contemplate it? So I saw a video that you did with the trans stuff, and I at first I was laughing, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh wait a second. So I just want to ask you if you will. And it's not, and it's more of something I want you to ponder and think about. Would it be more hard hitting if you went into these things and you started off that way, but you cut somewhere in the middle and you said, no, my name's Alex, I actually do this, you know, and like you actually are serious, you then turn serious? Because I would imagine there's been some times where there's kids in the room that have seen this act, and I would wonder what it's doing to them. Just something to contemplate. Then it actually, when I saw the video, I was like, man, maybe I should tell him, maybe I shouldn't.
Well,
but I was like, but maybe.
Let me stop for a second.
All right, go for it.
At city council, there were no kids there. Okay. I didn't see any kids at city council. At the school board stuff, I've done stuff like this at school board meetings. You're actually correct.
That's why I'm wondering.
You are actually. I want to hear more of this because there's something to what you're saying.
I think there's something about that. I don't know what it is, but it did cross my mind, and I was thinking to myself, would it have a stronger impact if you started off that way, but then you took all it off, and you're like, actually, my name's Alex Stranger. I own my own business. I do this. I'm doing this for my future kids because I don't want them to think that's normal, or something like that. I just want you to think about that, because I think that actually would land a lot harder, and it would set a better example for the kids in the room. I'm just more like, let's talk about our Christ journey. I'm just more thinking in that kind of mindset. It's like thinking about what it looks like to those individuals.
It's interesting, but
because they don't know. I don't know if they know it's a joke.
A lot of the parents that bring their, like, I've done this at school boards that are very woke. Yeah. So a lot of the parents that are bringing their kids to these school board meetings are also bringing them to the drag queen story hour. Okay, gotcha. So I don't know if that's really having too much of an effect on the kids. If anything, it's just kind of like showing how absurd this stuff is. So when the parents get mad at me, I'm like, well, why would you bring your kid? So then you agree that it's not okay for a drag queen to read to your children, right? And there have actually been times where parents have yelled at me after these meetings.
Why?
Because of the videos, like, you're a piece of shit. Fuck you. My kid is there. You're gonna, like, I've actually had that happen to me. And I think that when it comes to school board meetings, that's why I try to bring a cameraman with me. That's why I've been bringing a cameraman with me everywhere I go at these meetings, because sometimes the best footage is after you leave, right? And so if you're going to these meetings, right, usually what'll happen is, if that does happen, some parent will yell at you after the meeting, so then you go and talk about this afterwards, and I'm just like, then I could bring that up to the parent, and then that goes on the video. Or what happens too is that like usually like the trolling and the videos and the city council stuff is like dinner, and then you go on the and someone will bring you on a show or a podcast, and then you get to explain this when you go on a podcast why you're doing what you're doing, and you explain it a little more seriously, and then that gets the message out. So I try to do that, but also I've actually not really been wearing that costume at school board meetings anyway. I haven't even gone to school board meetings
I just
yet.
wanted to bring it up because I think it's important to maybe self-reflect on that, because there's been points where me personally, I've said some things that was definitely crossed the line.
Yes.
And I've had to come to, had a moment where I was like, in the evening I was like praying, and I'm like, was it right saying that? Should I have said that? Should I maybe said it a different way? Like, and it's just more being that mindset of being mindful of those things. But I think if you pray on it, I think you'll find the answer there. But I would love to see it land better for those kids in the audience, if there are any, and all that.
I've thought about like if I get to a certain level of success, just like trying to become a teacher again.
Really?
Yeah, I've thought about that actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've thought about like, and where I live in Johnson City, it's different, man. Like the city of people in Austin fucking hate my gut. Like they hate my guts, and like no, the mayor does not like me, and like there's
the mayor knows.
Yeah,
you?
the mayor cannot stand me. Watch the videos. The mayor's like gets angry visibly when I
Hello, mayor. I don't know you, but it'd be nice to meet you.
Council members hate me. The freaking left wing Antifa activists.
Hate you too?
They do not like me.
Do
No.
they watch the show?
I don't know if they watch the show or not, but like they've seen my council videos. They definitely get pissed off at it. My latest I showed you the latest video, right?
Yeah.
With Palestine, Ohio.
Oh yeah, no, I hadn't seen it yet, but you were telling me about it or the day before.
Yeah. And so there is like a dislike, but like when I go back to where I live, the mayor of my town like watches my videos with like her staff members. You know what I mean? Like people in that, like I'm a respected member of my community. Like I'm looked at as like a respected business owner, and possibly activist where I live. And people would be like, oh my God. And people still say, hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. And I get a lot of love when I'm giving pedicab rides and all that stuff. So don't get me wrong in that. But like, I could theoretically maybe work in like I don't think I could ever get hired for a job at AISD to like substitute teach. Because I think if I substitute taught or did something, I probably could offer a lot of really good advice to children, right? And offer like a realistic sense of perspective. Like, oh, you don't have the grades to get into college. It's okay. Like, you're a part of the tool belt generation. You'll make more money being a welder anyway, and you'll be able to own investable assets, and you'll have Bitcoin, and you'll be able to like custody your finances, and you're gonna own. You'll be able to own land, and you could go always hop on this pedicab, and if I have an extra bike, I'll lend one. You could always do. There's always stuff like that, or you could just say like when talking about the sex ed stuff, you can't go super puritanical, but you could just give like legitimate reasons as to why it's bad to have too many sexual partners, and talk about how much more likely you are to get divorced per each extramarital partner you have. And if you're with someone and you're like, talk about, oh my God, I want to explore being single, or I want to explore this and that and find myself. And I'm like, well, what? You want to explore worrying about getting an STD? You want to explore being scared of genital herpes? You want to explore your first abortion? You want to explore driving your girlfriend to a clinic? Do you want to explore the idea of looking over your shoulder because you fucked the wrong dude, you fucked some dude's girlfriend? You know what? Like, is that what you want? Like, is that what you want? Like, are you looking forward to like going out with some piece of shit who beats the crap out of you for no reason? Like, there's so much stuff that like comes into this lifestyle that people glamorize. And you work in some of these schools, you could just tell them straight up, like, finding yourself and building your legacy is fine, but that's not independent of having a partner. Your partner builds your legacy with you, and embrace that and be happy with that.
This is where, just to go back, people listening at home, this is where going to church, man, makes a difference. It keeps a lot of those things away. Like, it's funny how like as soon as you start going to church and being a good Christian or whatever your faith is, like it's funny how those people don't find you. Like it's almost like repellent.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And what I've noticed too is ever since like I think since about April, right, of 2023 is when I've started like kind of praying and saying the Shema and doing certain things and trying to do it gradually so I can be consistent.
Right.
Even like wearing hats more instead of wearing a kippah, just doing something to have a head, like doing something, right? I've noticed that I've been making better videos. I've just noticed that I've been better at doing at speaking to people on podcasts. Like I've noticed that I've been better at communicating with people when I'm giving rides. Like I've noticed that I've been like a better partner to Vanessa. Like I've just noticed that I've been like working out more. Like, you know, that one time where I saw Bill Barr, the Attorney General, maybe if I like hadn't had a better relationship with God, maybe if I wasn't praying or doing any that stuff, maybe I wouldn't have had the guts to say anything. Maybe I would have messed up. Maybe I would have sounded something really stupid. Maybe a whole bunch of things would have happened. When I went to the city council with the Russell Brand stuff, where Russell Brand had all those women accusing him, and then of sexual assault, and then no, just in general, and like it was a big thing in like September. And then it was Rosh Hashanah, so I didn't pedicab that whole weekend. And there was a football game, and I decided to not work and go to temple and be mindful of that. Like all of a sudden, I came up with the idea that maybe I'll just go to city council and say that I was assaulted by Russell Brand too. You know, and like maybe I wouldn't have come up with that idea if I wasn't, if I had not been in temple, right? Like, because I think that sometimes when you have an idea that's big, maybe God was there giving you that idea, and it wasn't you who came up with the idea. Not to say
hopefully he doesn't tell you to do something crazy.
I don't know. Not to say that like God told me to say that I was like raped by Russell Brand, but I'm just saying that like sometimes you feel something that you feel an idea or feel an energy or feel a voice or some idea that comes to you, and you're like, maybe that wasn't my idea. Maybe that was something else that gave me that idea. And if I wasn't like into it, my spirituality or praying, like
I would just.
I didn't pray this. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
I feel like we're derailing the podcast.
No,
what time is it?
No, we'll get like 10 more minutes, right?
I got to jump out
what time is it right now?
4:30.
That's fine. So I didn't get a chance to pray last night, and I didn't pray this morning because I had to go do this ad stuff, and I just was a little off. And I've noticed that my mind, my energy is not as on as it could have been a couple days ago, right? And I think that all plays into it.
What time is it?
4:10.
Yeah, we gotta get going. But
all right.
Hey, you can cut all that part out. But
no, it's fine. We're not cutting anything.
Okay,
out. It's all in there.
But I will say though that it's good seeing your progress, man. It's good seeing you do it. I mean, this place is amazing, dude. Look at this.
I had nothing to do with this.
I know, but you did. Like you did in some small capacity. You did.
Well, my shop is stored here, and it's
yeah.
there,
I mean, but you're bringing light to here. I mean, you're bringing a lot of people here.
I think so. I think that hopefully what I'm doing is.
Yeah, because no one would actually, want to be around this stuff if it wasn't for people like you making it cool, you know?
That is true. I think that's what it is too. Like with this type of stuff, I genuinely love this job. This job really makes me happy. Yeah. You know, people are like, and this I guess how we could maybe wrap up, but like, you know, when I do this job, people like, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing on the weekend. People are like, what are your hobbies? What do you love to do? Like, and this and that. What are your favorite things to do in Austin? I'm like, yo, this. Yeah. Like, I love this. Like, going out and riding this tricycle around and being in this, like, environment and being around these people, it makes me
you look really happy, man.
Yeah.
I see you sometimes I'm walking downtown, and I'll be like, Stringer, like that. And we always see you all the time, a lot of us.
Yeah.
And we're like, yo, that's Alex. But it's cool, man. I'm
really happy doing this.
It's really cool to have you a part of our community here in town, especially in the Bitcoin community, because you're so Alex, which is cool, man.
I mean, I think there's a genuine sense of happiness, right, doing this job, and
it's a beautiful building, man.
It's a beautiful building, and like I just want people to associate pedicabbing with something cool because I love doing this, and I just
if you've never seen pedicabbing and you're visiting Austin, come here. It's right across from the train station. Come visit it.
Hop on the unjected pedicab. I just got the ad.
Get off the train. Come right here
and get on a bike.
There you go.
Car, how do we get a hold of you?
If you're looking to build on Bitcoin, start a company, or get to success in the ecosystem, go to pleblab.dev, apply there. If you're in Austin and you're looking to, talk to people in the Bitcoin ecosystem, or even want to talk to me, come on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday is Hackerspace. You can go there and learn more about us. Dude, we get all sorts of people coming in there now. So, I mean, if you're whoever you are, if you're a politician, even if you're the mayor, you want to be the mayor,
or you want to be the mayor.
Whoever you are, come Tuesdays. That's our like official open house day of the week. And then every Saturday this summer, we're doing a workshop. So if you find your way downtown on a Saturday from like 12 to 2, come to PlebLab. We'll have a workshop. Somebody smart up there will be presenting something. And then if you want to do all the social stuff, follow us. We're on Twitter. We're on Nostr, all those things. And then if you want to support the lab, go also on pleblab.dev. There's a donation button there.
And there have also been some really cool things that have come out One is ZapRate, where you can send invoices. It's a really good
we
payment.
use ZapRate for all the donation stuff.
Yeah.
So you can donate in Bitcoin, dollars, credit card, all sorts of things. So if you want to make a donation to PlebLab, we use ZapRate.
A lot of really cool stuff.
We eat our own we eat our own dog food.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And also this Cascader stuff. Jim was supposed to come on. It's a human-centered version of AI.
Yeah, we have Open Agents is the other AI company inside of PlebLab, and then we have Cascader, which is the new AI company. There's only like 2 AI companies in Bitcoin, and they're both in Austin, both in PlebLab.
So does this thing translate books or government documents, or does it only do videos?
For Open Agents, you can upload a PDF and it'll translate it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about for Cascader?
Cascader, I think he has that option. I don't know exactly where he's at on the release of that, but I think
I'm about to get so much smarter playing with this.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, he's working on some vision stuff that's really cool. A lot of the people inside the lab are working on some really cool stuff. Shout out all them, you know. Just go to pleblab.dev. All the links for these companies are there, and you can get in contact with them.
Cool. Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Boom.